Hey guys, Michael here with the Daily Note, and today is day 9, I believe, of my 30-day marathon on uploading to this channel every day, and hopefully after that I could just keep on going. So anyways, today this is a viewer requested video on the apps that I use. The purpose of this video, of these types of videos, is a lot of people find a lot of cool stuff and you just may be never aware of what exists out there, and it could be very useful. So I can't go over every app because that would take like 3 hours. I'll just go over the apps that I think will be very useful to you guys, but you could see what I have installed on there also. If you haven't seen them, even though it's a very minor app, it could be very useful in your case. So let's first look at the way that I have my home screen set up. So I only have 2 pages on my home screen and 1 page for my apps. And the reason I do that is for the smoothness of the launcher. I wouldn't say the number one, but one of the big drains on your battery is actually your widgets. So I used to have so many widgets and it used to look really nice, but I've really narrowed it down to things I use. So if you have a lot of unused widgets, definitely uninstall them and try to reduce the number of pages on your home screen and your apps tray. You could see my biggest widget here is my weather icon, weather widget. And it's just like a really nice centerpiece. Imagine my home screen was just all icons, right? It just wouldn't look nice. So it's a nice centerpiece. And also I get to see the weather for the next 5 days. Now, if the next 5-day forecast is inadequate, I could dig into this app, or I also use the Google Weather app, which does a little bit better job giving me the weather for the next 10 days. All right, so VLC, if you haven't heard of it, it's been an open source video player and it tries to support just about any video format out there. And it's been a long time coming, but I was using other video apps until just recently, and I feel like VLC has finally matured enough on Android in the last maybe year or two where I could make it my only video player app and I could uninstall everything else. Before that, I was using the Samsung video player, which is good, but doesn't support all the codecs anymore. And then I was using the Dice player because it was super efficient, but phones are fast now. And then after that, I was using the MX player, and I think it's still good. But I think VLC, I think it just supports picture-in-picture features of the VLC player. So if you like watching video files that you have downloaded onto your smartphone, and you like that YouTube picture-in-picture player, you could get that. But it doesn't work as smoothly, or not smoothly, but efficiently. For example, YouTube is great for YouTube premium subscribers, where if you just press the home button or you press the power, right? If you press power, it will just continue playing the audio. If you press the home button, it lets you multitask and it gives you a picture-in-picture of the YouTube video that you are watching. Well, it doesn't work as nicely as that, even though you could make it only play the audio when you shut off the screen, and you could make it picture-in-picture by tapping on a few buttons. But you can't, it just won't do that automatically for some reason, maybe a restriction on Android. So you could kind of see it's a bit hidden. You could see that I use the Google widget, and I kind of like reading the Google newsfeed that's customized for me. Next, I have Reddit is fun. That is a third-party Reddit browser. So if you're not familiar with Reddit, it's just where all the current and funny videos like that people have found are circulating, and all the most popular ones get pushed to the top. You kind of stay updated with what everybody's kind of looking at all over the world by popularity. It's a tremendous time waster, but also lets you keep connected with what's going on and how people are thinking outside your normal bubble of close friends and relatives. You could see what the world is thinking about right now. The next one is Splashtop. So how this app works is you run a background service on your PC or even Mac computer. It's always running in the background for you to connect to it from your smartphone. And whether you're at home, you're outside in a taxi or a bullet train or something like that, could just access your computer as if you were sitting in front of it. Now that sounds really cool. It costs you about $2 a month subscription. So there are free options for you to be able to do this. Next app worth mentioning is the Podcast Addict app. So it's just a podcast downloader and player. It's just become really smooth on keeping up to date with all the podcasts being downloaded while I sleep. So you could see that these are the podcasts that I subscribe to. I used to subscribe to a lot more, but I've whittled this list down because don't have much time anymore, and I actually don't have the time to listen to the Joe Rogan Experience anymore. But I have listened to many of his podcasts. The How I Built This podcast is by Guy Raz, and he interviews entrepreneurs. I find that really interesting. Office Ladies, if you like the Office TV show, they've come back and they're rewatching the episode, and they're giving like an hour commentary on each episode, and I think that's amazing for the Office fans. And Radiolab is a radio program, and they just make these really interesting audio programs for you to enjoy. It's like stories, and maybe it's about news and opinion and stuff like that. So you might want to check that out. So on my second homepage, I have the step counter app still. I should get rid of that because it's redundant to this notification that's always hovering over. Strava is kind of like Facebook, but only relates to like exercise. So if you like riding your bike from point A to point B, and you want to share, how fast you did it and what route you took, and maybe the pictures you took along the way, or you like doing that when you're running, it's pretty much like Facebook. But it's limited to that content, and you might realize that a lot of your friends actually use it. So it's pretty interesting. I like it. And Samsung Pay, the reason I have it here is that I've disabled the gesture from swiping up from the home screen, because that would certainly get in the way of how I'm using the home button now. Instagram, if you want to check me out on Instagram, I have the Instagram link from the Daily Note YouTube page. So come and check it out if you're interested. I don't post too often, but sometimes I do. All right, next one is Twitter. If you want to receive a tweet every time I upload a YouTube video, you could follow me on Twitter. The eHome app is by Xiaomi. So I have one of those like Xiaomi Home, where it's called the Dome, camera for your home. So we put a camera in our baby's room, and we could see if she's sleeping, or in the morning if we could monitor her when she's about to wake up. So it's a great app and great product as well. We've been using it for more than a year. No problems. I have this Google email widget here. This is I think the S Pen widget. So you could open up this thing for all your notes, or you could just quickly tap here to record a voice note. All right, so let's go to all of the app listings, and I'm gonna skip over a lot because I have installed a lot of these apps and I don't even use them anymore, or I haven't tried them enough to recommend them. All right, so I think. Oh, by the way, I want to recommend a way of categorizing your apps. You could look at the categories that I created, and the three that I recommend that you create is one by Samsung, one by Google, and one by your carrier. My carrier is called LGU Plus. So, whenever you get like a new phone and a new firmware, Google provides the firmware, so they install their apps. And then Samsung will customize that firmware for the hardware. So they'll put their apps in so that it works as a phone. And lastly, your carrier will install their junk on there before they sell the phone to you. So I think it's a way of categorizing apps that's worked for me. So it's the one I recommend that you try, because you could create these other categories and you don't want to spread them all over. Then I have the navigation category where I put all my apps where you could like call a taxi, buy a train ticket, look at the subway schedule, see if the bus is coming, how much traffic there is, or the standard car navigation apps as well. All right, and then my imaging app is for all my camera and photo related, because I have a big interest in photography. My utilities, and then my multimedia where I get articles to read, or like I put the video players in there so I could watch files that I have downloaded. I could watch them and I just access them through the multimedia folder. Productivity is where I put all the Microsoft Office apps and anything that would correlate to like working. Maybe you could put the Splashtop app in there, because a lot of times I'm getting a file for work and sending it, by email. Right, my finance app, this is where I keep track of like the stock trading apps and my banking apps, and then see if my property real estate has gone up. I put all those apps in there. And then the next one is games, obviously. Next one is social media, and last is lifestyle. And that could be anything like health insurance. Maybe you get like daily reports from your daycare, cooking recipes, maybe your exercise apps. So I put it all in my lifestyle. All right, so let's dig into these folders. So, these are all Korea specific, but Kayak app is great for buying plane tickets at a cheap cost. It's kind of like Orbitz, but find it's a little bit cheaper. But I think I just look them up on Kayak now, and then I just go to the website of the airline and I buy the airplane tickets now. It's a little bit more restrictive when I need to change flights. Let's see what else. All right, so I have a lot of apps in here to control my camera when I connect to the camera by Wi-Fi, for example. Camera Connect, Lumix Link, Image App, Mobius Action Cam, they all control different cameras. The Open Camera app is an app that lets me record primarily 24p video, because the Samsung camera app, for some reason, it has so many features, but doesn't have any settings to record 24p. All right, and a lot of these apps I don't even use anymore, but Lightroom is a good RAW and photo editor. So if you don't have a subscription to Adobe CC, which costs monthly, you could still use it, and you could edit your JPEGs, and you get access to a lot of the Photoshop, Camera Raw / Lightroom tools. Now, if you have Adobe CC because you use Photoshop on your PC, you have free access to Lightroom for raw files, and I think that's great, especially because smartphones now lets you take raw files, raw photos, and then you could share it to Lightroom, and then you could have access to the highlights or the shadows that might be completely white or black. You could bring those back a little bit. You have a more accurate re-white balancing option available. Then you can see there are so many apps in here. For example, VSCO, Snow, LD, which is called Lens Distortion, Guru Shots, V-Image, Mirror Lab, Glitchy, 90s, B612. They're all PixaMotion. They're all like they're kind of like Instagram, where they let you take a picture and you could put color effects or maybe augmented reality apps or effects, or you could just edit the picture in some interesting way. And they're all a little bit different. They all try to give you that analog cross color overlay of augmented AR stuff. So yeah, those are all different stuff. Like even the face app, I think that takes a picture of your face and you could try a different hairstyle. So you could try stuff like that. The 1998 cam, camera one glitch. They all give you like and the Fuji camera or Fuji cam, right? They all give you like that FiLMiC like emulation, so that it looks like you didn't take it with a digital smartphone. PixaMotion is an interesting one. Like for example, you could take a picture of a waterfall or the clouds, and you could add like moving graphics so that it looks like the water is still falling or the cloud is moving. FiLMiC Pro is an interesting one. It's a rather expensive app to get like advanced features, but you could shoot with log, like there's like log V2, whatever that means, or a flat picture profile. You could set the where the black and the white levels are. You could shoot at different bit rates. You could shoot at much higher quality so that you end up with a more raw and more detailed image, so that you could bring it back and you could work with it. It's not, the Samsung camera app is good for video that you capture and you want to do some like quick editing, but this is for trying to capture as much detail as possible, but it might not look that good until you process the image. So that's what FiLMiC Pro is for. And Streamlabs is kind of like OBS for the PC, but I found it a little bit more complicated, so I ended up going back to just the YouTube app to stream. All right, let's go to utilities. Anything interesting in here? RecForge Lite, it lets you turn off automatic gain control. When you're recording audio, you might find that very useful or very not, depending on who you are. Wifi Analyzer is good for improving the wireless connection inside your home. For example, you could see where all the visible Wi-Fi hotspots are for the room that you're in right now. So you could see that all of these hotspots are kind of gathered around this channel between 7 to 13. So maybe you want to try to point your Wi-Fi hotspot from like 2 to 5 or something like, or just use channel 3, for example. And that should potentially improve your Wi-Fi signal to your phone and maybe your other devices as well. I don't even need this app called AZ Screen Recorder. There's a very awesome built-in screen recording tool built into the Galaxy Note 10. Okay, this File Manager Plus, I really like this app because it's really simple, but it seems really robust when connecting to a Windows file share that I create on my Windows PC. So I'll download something onto my PC, like a video file, or I'll encode like a video, like a home movie to my on my PC, and I don't need to worry about transferring that file over to my PC to enjoy it. I just throw it into a folder that I'm sharing, and this seems to access it really reliably. And another reason why I don't use the other, I think like Astro, there's like Astro Easy File Explorer. I don't use those two apps because it seems to kind of get lost into what apps you want to open the file with after you use it for a while. But for this app, it always asks me, because I always want to open it into this phone, or I want to stream it onto my TV, and it really lets me. It really doesn't interrupt that process like Astro and Easy File Explorer. Wi-Fi FTP Server. How I use this is Canon cameras lets you upload RAW files. Not many people know this, but Canon cameras lets you upload RAW files to FTP servers by hitting that set button. But you need to have your camera connect to your Galaxy Note 10 when running a Wi-Fi hotspot, and you need to be running this FTP server. After that, you could just select the picture on your camera and hit the set button, and it'll just send that one RAW file to it. It's just a little slow, so I don't really end up using it, but if I ever need to, it's a working process that not a lot of people are aware of. Whoscall is it lets me blacklist phone numbers that call into this phone with a specific prefix. So usually when they're calling, when I know it's like a spam number coming from a specific prefix or an area code, I could just blacklist all of them. Next one, Charger Tester. It shows you the current draw when you're charging your phone. So one thing that you should know is when you're charging and it says 100%, sometimes you'll see that it is still charging. So you would think that when the icon changes so that it's not charging anymore, you would think it's still, it finished charging. Well, through Charger Tester, you could see that it is actually still doing like a trickle charge until it actually finally stops. And you could see that through Charger Tester. Read aloud. When I select text and copy it into the app, it just like reads it aloud for me. And GuitarTuna just lets you tune the guitar by using the mic on the Galaxy Note. Speedtest, it just lets me test the Wi-Fi or cellular connection data speeds. Seconds clock, I'll just demonstrate it real quick. When you turn it on, you could see, you could have the time here at 3:29, but you don't know exactly how many seconds have passed. So you could see just when it's about to turn 3:30. I really wish there was a clean way of doing this, because I actually do find that information sometimes really helpful. And USB Media Explorer. So this is for my Canon camera specifically, or maybe other cameras as well. With the OTG dongle, you could put a memory card reader, and you want to browse through RAW files at full screen. The Galaxy Gallery app doesn't let you swipe through the next picture when you're looking at RAW files on the SD card. But this app, the USB Media Explorer, lets you do that. So if you like plugging in USB card readers into your phone, and if you like browsing pictures at full screen, that's what it's for. All right, and this lets me emulate my Samsung TV remote control. It doesn't work 100%, but it gets enough buttons to where I find it useful. ZY Play is a Zhiyun gimbal accessory, like a control app. So if I think pretty much all of the Zhiyun gimbals, you could control it remotely through Bluetooth using a smartphone, and you have to use this app to do it. Multimedia. BubbleUPnP, this is an app you have to pay for the license for it to use it for more than a specific amount of time. But I think it's an excellent app if you have a UPnP compatible TV. I'm sure a lot of you do. Even the smart TVs or the TVs that don't have smart functions might even have UPnP, or not UPnP, but DLNA support. So if you have a file on your phone, you could stream it. You could just stream the data, have the TV do a decode of it. So you could get the full video quality on that TV without having to do some kind of like on-screen projection. Like it's just like encoding on the fly of what's on your screen, and you're trying to play a video. It might look okay, but you'll see the blacks are being crushed. And it's because, you know, the compression is limited to a specific amount of data. But if you're just sending the raw data of that file to your TV that has the right codecs to decode it, get a much higher video quality playback on your TV. You could stream much better. And as mentioned, this File Explorer, File Manager Plus. Yeah, File Manager Plus. I use this app with the BubbleUPnP app. I'll take a file that's on my PC. I'll access it through a Windows file share through the File Manager Plus app, and then I'll stream it from there to UPnP, which will connect to my TV, and it'll stream it, and it'll stream only the data. Anything else in here? So yeah, I might have apps like this in here for my daughter. It's like looking at cute animals. Productivity app, anything in here? RD client. Remember I showed you the Splashtop. And yeah, it does it really efficiently, but it costs $2 a month. If you know how to configure your firewall so that you could open up the ports, you need to always know your IP address. Could do the Splashtop type of thing for free. It's a lot of trouble to always know your IP, and sometimes your home internet service provider resets your firmware on your router, so you lose connectivity. And if you're really relying on that for work, you just need something more solid. So that's why I use Splashtop. It just always works, and I always have access to my home PC wherever I go, even when I'm outside. All right, so let's talk about games. Smash Hit, I finished that game. I'm a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto series, although I don't think I've ever finished any of these Grand Theft Autos on my mobile device, but I always plan on playing these games, so I have them installed even though I never get around to them. Plant vs. Zombies, I still play that game once in a while. So it's like almost like a 10-year-old game now, but yeah, it's still fun. It's just one of those tower defense games. You could see other games that I have installed on here you might want to try out. Racing Fever Moto, I think I have actually finished that game. You know, Sniper 3D I've actually finished. And I've tried the Mario Kart game and it seems really sophisticated and cool. I just haven't given it enough time for me to recommend it. In the last folder, most of these are country specific, but I want to talk about Zwift. Zwift, I think I showed it briefly at the end of a live stream, but if you know what a smart trainer is, if you have a bicycle, you can make it, you could put like a roller on it that keeps count on how fast it's spinning. And then it also will add like resistance so that you could use your regular bike as an exercise bike. And then you could connect that to this app called Zwift. And it's like it looks like a video game. You're on a bike and you're, you pedal fast and it starts pedaling fast in the video game. So it's like an exercise, video game thing you could do while working out and burning calories. So maybe I'll show you that one of these days. And the Comax, even though it's very specific to my apartment here in Korea, did you know? I guess you didn't know, but my apartment is fairly newly built, and a lot of the wiring is connected through like an Android home system. So, since we talk about Android and smartphones, maybe you could talk about this because it lets me monitor usage of electricity and gas and turn off the lights and see, call on the elevator and see where the elevator is at. All right, that's all that I have for you today. And if you have an app that you can recommend to me or you can recommend to other people, feel free to leave that in the comments. So if you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, and that'll help me out a little bit by giving me a little bit more exposure on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and maybe hit that notification bell icon to be notified when I upload my next video. All right, guys, thank you for watching.